calculation. The shuttle mechanism is a way of transport. Remember, when we talked about glycolysis, we said there are what? 2 moles of NADH that are generated in cytoplasm, because glycolysis takes place in the cytoplasm. Let me tell you something. NADH is not permeable to the mitochondrial walls. It cannot get into. So it goes through special transporting schemes we call the shuttle mechanisms. Now, however, these shuttle mechanisms are different depending on the organisms. The brain and the muscle have a different shuttle mechanism, that they transfer electrons or hydrogen ions to FAD. Remember, whenever anything involves the FADH, what it means is that it's going to start at complex 2 and it is going to generate about 1.5 moles of ATP. So in brain and muscle, 1 molecule of cytoplasmic NADH, what it means, NADH produced from the cytoplasm, results only in 1.5 moles of ATP in the mitochondria. In the liver, the heart and the kidney, a different shuttle mechanism applies, whereby those electrons or hydrogen ions from the cytoplasm are transported through NADH. Remember, NADH gets engaged in what? In complex 1. And what it simply means is that 1 molecule of those cytoplasmic NADH in liver, heart, and kidney will result to 2.5 moles of ATP. However, for clarity and simplicity, because this is a GOB class, not purely a biochemistry class, we're going to be restricting our calculation only to what? The muscle cells. Remember, the muscle cells, like I said, the muscle cells can only generate 1.5 moles of ATP from those NADHs that are produced in the cytoplasm of the muscle cell. Take note of that. We will focus our ATP calculation only on the muscle cell, because one cytoplasmic NADH of the muscle cell will only yield about 1.5 ATP, just to keep things simple. So in my calculation, I'm going to be assuming that everything done, every calculation is done with the muscle cell. Take note of this. We now move to the next thing. Now, why I put back this picture is for you to remember what we did about glycolysis, about citric acid cycle, and about the metabolism of other monosaccharides. We have to remember that, because we have to trace them as we're going to be doing our ATP calculation in the next step. Now, how do we calculate? It says ATP yield for complete oxidation of 1 molecule of glucose. What are we going to do? If we want to do the ATP calculation for the oxidation of 1 molecule of glucose, what are we going to do? Our interest will only be based on those reaction steps that generated ATP, or ATP steps that generate ATP or reducing equivalent. And reducing equivalent we're talking about is NADH, or even the ones that generate GTP. So any reaction that involves any of these, we're going to take note of those. That is our interest. Any reaction involving any of those. So let's look at our glycolysis. Why did I have to show you those pictures? Just to make it easy. I know what it is, but to make it easier for you, I'm going to take you to glycolysis. Let's start. So you see, glycolysis starts, let me go to glycolysis. Glucose metabolism starts from glycolysis, where glucose is first of all converted to glucose. So remember here, in step 1, ATP is being used. We're going to take note of that. So we're going to go straight to that and say step 1. So glucose, I'm going to be using some shortcut. Just listen to me carefully to know what this shortcut means. So glucose here will be converted to glucose 6-phosphate. I'm going to be using this as my shortcut of my phosphate. In this process, ATP was used. 1 ATP was used there, but it was lost. So we know that 1 ATP was used. Because it was used or it was not generated, we're going to say it is a negative ATP. We now go again to the pathway. If you go back to the pathway again, nothing happens here. No NADH or ATP produced. In step 3, another ATP was used again, where fructose was converted to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. We go back. Our fructose 6-phosphate, I'm going to say F6P, fructose 6-phosphate, was converted to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Look at my bisphosphate. Please listen carefully to know this. Again, when ATP was used here, what that simply means is that we lost another ATP at this point. We now continue and keep looking. What else is happening? If you go back to this thing again, nothing happens here, no ATP here, nothing happens here, nothing happens here. Look at where something is happening again. Look at this. From this reaction now, glyceride 3-phosphate was converted to 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate and NADH was produced. Now listen, remember, at this point, whatever that is happening in glycolysis will be multiplied by 2 because it is broken into 2 carbon molecules of dihydroacetone phosphate and glyceride 3-phosphate. So here, NADH was done what? Was produced. What that means, we have 2 NADH. We're going to go back. Now remember, glycolysis is taking place in the cytoplasm. We're going to apply the shuttle mechanism now. Look at what is happening here now. Now, there was NADH produced when glyceride 3-phosphate. Oh, okay, I'm going to make this shorter. Remember, this is not glucose. I'm going to call it G3P. That's shorter for me. So it will be G3P, glyceride 3-phosphate, G3P was converted to 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. This is bisphosphoglycerate. Now, what that simply means is that if this was converted to this, we generated how many? What's the energy equivalence we generated there? Is NADH. And this, because there are 2 molecules in this point going in, we're going to have 2 NADH that was generated at this point. And because this is generated in the cytoplasm, remember, assume that this is happening in the muscle. We said any NADH generated in the cytoplasm of the muscle will only give you how many ATP? 1.5 ATP. 1.5 ATP times 2 NADH. 2 times 1.5 is going to give us plus. This, we just generated 3 ATP at this point. Again, let's continue. At that process, the next step, if you go back to this point, in the next step, something again happened in the next. Look at what's happened. 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate was converted to 3-phosphoglycerate. Look at what's happening here. ADP comes and accepts this phosphate from here ADP accept this phosphate here to form ATP. We generated ATP. Remember again, everything happening here is times 2. Remember, this was times 2. Therefore, we're going to have 2 ATP here. We go back again and say our 1,3-bisphospho, I'm going to use shortcut bisphosphoglycerate, bisphosphoglycerate was converted to 3, I'm going to call it 3-phosphoglycerate. Remember, one phosphate is always this. Now, in this process, there was 2 ATP that was produced. It's not, it was generated, so it's a plus. So we're going to put 2 ATP is a plus for us. That is exactly what happened again. We go back to that pathway. Now, it's important for you to have this close to you when doing this. If you look at this process, nothing happened there, nothing happened there, nothing happened there. Again, something's happened. At the last step, phosphoenol pyruvate, PEP, is converted to pyruvate, generating another ATP. Remember, it has to be 2. Then, we go back. That's what has happened. PEP, I like this name, phosphoenol pyruvate, was converted to pyruvate. And again, 2 ATP was generated. We have plus 2 ATP. Now, we're not yet done. Now, this is what happens in the cytoplasm. Remember, this is all that happened in the cytosol. Every other reaction will be taking place in the mitochondria. Remember, because the next thing that will be happening will be, let's go back to that. At this point, pyruvate moves and is broken down. Remember, everything here is happening in the mitochondria. Pyruvate is now broken down to acetyl-CoA. This break, remember, it is 2 molecules of pyruvate that we got here. These 2 molecules goes here. So what it means is that 2 pyruvate molecules will be broken down. If you look at this, in breaking down of pyruvate to acetyl-CoA, you generate another what? 2 NADH. You can generate NADH. Because it's 2 pyruvate, we're going to have 2 NADH. So we go back and pin it down. So it's going to be from pyruvate to acetyl-CoA. That's what we have here. From pyruvate to acetyl-CoA, we generated 2 NADH molecule. Now, remember, this is done in the mitochondria. In the mitochondria, we are not using the shuttle mechanism. Every NADH generated in the mitochondria worth how many electron? Worth how many ATP? 2.5. Remember that? In the mitochondria, 1 mole, every NADH, every NADH will give us 2.5 ATP. Every FADH2 will give us 1.5 ATP. So since we produce 2 NADH here, what that simply means is that we're going to be having 2.2 times 2.5. We're going to be having plus 5 ATP at this point. Then if you go back to this again, now the citric acid cycle now starts at this point. Because here acetyl-CoA will combine with nothing happening here, nothing happening here. The next reaction is, look at this. Isocitrate is converted to alpha-ketoglutarate, generating NADH. Remember, there is 2 acetyl-CoA, so we're going to be having 2 NADH again. So if you have 2 NADH again, we're going to be doing, so what we're going to be having there is that we have isocitrate. That's isocitrate. Isocitrate goes to alpha-ketoglutarate. And here we have 2 NADH molecules, and every 2 NADH molecule will give us plus 5 ATP. We now go to the next. We go to the next one again. In the next one, look at what is happening again. Now, another alpha-ketoglutarate is now converted to what? Succinyl-CoA. Again, another NADH, which is 2. We go back to it again. 2 NADH again. So we're going to see that alpha-ketoglutarate goes to, alpha-ketoglutarate is going to what? Succinyl-CoA. Is going to succinyl-CoA. Here again, 2 NADH was generated, and every 2 NADH will give us plus 5 ATP. And again, we go to the next one. This is another interesting thing is happening here now. Let's go and see. Now, if you look at this, succinyl-CoA is now converted to what? Succinate. Here, NADH is not generated. It generates GTP rather. Remember, GTP is equivalent to 1 ATP. So, typically what we generated here is what? Since 2 molecules of this is here, everything will be, so we're going to be getting 2 GTP at this point. So we go back and fill it out in the table. So what that simply means is that if we have succinyl-CoA going to succinate, that generates 2 GTP, and each GTP is equal to 1 ATP, so it's equivalent. So we're going to have plus 2 ATP as well. And then we now go back and see what happens there. Let's go back there. Now look at what happens here. Here now, succinate will be converted to fumarate. Here we generated FADH. So generation of, because it's 2, we're going to say 2 FADH. So we're going to go back. So it's going to be from succinate to fumarate. We generated 2 FADH2. FADH2 only appears once in citric acid cycle. And because there are 2 of them, remember, it is 1.5 ATP. So 1.5 times 2 give us plus 3 ATP. And then we go back again. If we go back again, we look at this. From fumarate goes to malate, nothing happens here. And malate goes back to oxaloacetate. Look at the last reaction here. Another NADH was generated. And since it's 2 NADH, because 2 molecules is what we have here. So it's going to be, and that's the last reaction. So what it means is that malate will be converted to oxaloacetate. And again, we have 2 NADH, and 2 NADH, 2 times 2.5 will give us plus 5 ATP. This is the complete breakdown of glucose. Now, if you add all these things together, it's going to give you 32. 32 minus 2 we're going to be having net of 30 plus 30. If you don't have to put plus, 80 ATP will be generated in the complete oxidation of glucose. So the complete oxidation breakdown of glucose in the muscle tissue using that first transporter will generate 30 moles of ATP. If we were to do this with the kidney, with the kidney, it's going to be 32 because of that thing we did here. But I'm not doubling into that. So all my calculation will be based on the muscle cells. It's going to be purely based on the muscle tissue. So I'm not going to push it at that level. So I don't have to mention it. Just know that I'm referring to the muscle tissue because it is this main place. Muscle tissue is a case study for us where most of this metabolism take place. Okay, let's now go to the next one. So this is exactly what you're going to do with the case of what? With the case of galactose. So galactose, you're going to be looking at those pathways that involve galactose. Remember, I gave you an alternative page. So look at the alternative pathway I gave you. So galactose, you cannot use this for galactose, but it can be connected because remember in the lecture, every other monosaccharide will be connected to glycolysis. So what are you going to do? We're going to be using this. Look at galactose. So galactose, the first reaction of galactose is that galactose will convert it to galactose 1-phosphate using 1 ATP. So that's what we have. So you can go back to your table and say from galactose, let me say galactose to galactose. We have galactose from galactose to galactose 1-phosphate. So to galactose 1-phosphate. Here you've used 1 ATP. What that simply means is that you have lost 1 ATP here. You go back to that table again. And then which pathway is it taken? From galactose, you go to galactose 1-phosphate through isomerization. Nothing is happening. From galactose, you get to glucose 6-phosphate. This is isomerization. From glucose 6-phosphate now, don't you think this now continues with what? From glucose 6-phosphate, this continues with glycolysis. Glucose 6-phosphate here now simply means you're almost going to your glycolysis because in glucose 6-phosphate is isomerized to fructose 6-phosphate. So this is your glycolysis. So the next reaction will be from fructose 6-phosphate to what? Fructose 1,6. And this is exactly what you have in the first one we did. If you look at it, it now goes. So you're now getting there. So we're going to be having from fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6-bis-phosphate. That's what you have. You again used 1 ATP and then you've lost 1 ATP. Remember, let's go back to that. At this point, from fructose 1,6-bis-phosphate, it goes to glycerol 3-phosphate. You continue with the rest of glycolysis. So what you do is you now go to your glycolysis and trace it from glycerol 3-phosphate and now go down. And if you trace this thing completely, you're going to get the same amount of ATP. All monosaccharide, when broken down, will give you 30 moles of ATP. So I'm not going to finish this because of time. I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to just quickly give you some 30 seconds, a few seconds, and then I'm going to show you the work I've already done on that. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to give you a few time to try to, or you can easily pause this video, fill out some of this thing yourself, and then we'll come back to them. All right? Okay, quickly, I'm going to show you what it is. So we will now continue with the rest of glycolysis until we're going to get to complete breakdown. We'll finish the glycolysis. From glycolysis, you enter the citric acid cycle where it is finally broken down, and you make sure that all your equivalents are worked out correctly, and this is what you're going to get. Remember, we said from galactose to galactose 1-phosphate. From galactose 1-phosphate, we got fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6. These are the two we got. And then from there, we went to glycerol 3-phosphate to 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate down. So if you break everything down, all you got, and do every calculation, and minus, you're still going to get 30 ATP in complete breakdown of galactose. You're also going to get 30 ATP in complete breakdown of fructose. Please, you have to practice on how to do this ATP calculation because you likely see this in your exam. We now go to the last reflection, but not the least in this class. It says, how many molecules of ATP can be generated when just one molecule of acetyl A goes through one cycle of citric acid cycle? So remember, when we did the citric acid cycle, we mentioned what we get from there. So let's just quickly, every one cycle of this gives you, remember, we're not talking about here now because we said when it enters already. So we're not including this one. Our interest is, so when it enters here, it produces this NADH, and this NAD. So it produces 3 NADH. And 3 NADH produced simply means 3 times, each of them in mitochondria, each NAD gives you 2.5. So this is going to give you 7.5 ATPs. Now, it produces only one FADH. What it simply means, one FADH2 will just give you 1 times 1.5. This will give you 1.5 ATP. That didn't come out well. Let me write it clearly. 1.5 ATP. And that is not only what we get in there. Remember, here we get what? GTP. Remember this reaction that gives you GTP. And so 1 GTP is equivalent to what? 1 GTP is equivalent to what? 1 ATP. Is equivalent to 1 ATP. So what do you now do? We now add everything to 7.5. Please, that's 7.5. I hope it's clear now. Okay, let me make sure these things are clear. This is 7.5 plus 1.5 gives you 9. 9 plus 1 gives you 10 ATP. This becomes the answer. So, complete breakdown of just one molecule of acetyl just inside the cycle, inside the citric acid cycle, will result to what? Will result to 10 molecules or 10 moles of ATP. And at this point, we've come to the end of this lecture. Thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye at this point.